Hello and welcome back to Rarr from me car. We haven't done any videos for a while. That's basically because one, I couldn't really be bothered, and also I've been trying to tidy up my channel, putting some links and better banner, even though it's still really shit. A slightly stretched queen with a gun, and just various that, and so I just thought it was high time I made a video. You're starting to notice there's more and more of these Rarr from me cars in special Rarr from me living room episodes. The main reason for that is it's just a lot more pleasant to talk shit from my living room than it is to sit in my car. I think I've done enough car episodes to earn my title anyway, and there will still be plenty of me sitting in my car. So yeah, the other thing you might notice is, you know, the whole black shirt open, and the reason for that is haven't been getting as many views as I would have liked, and I've been trying to rack, as you know, I've gone through every single possibility under the sun of why I'm not getting as many views or as many likes as I'd like, and the only reason that I can think is that my channel, my videos are lacking a certain sex appeal, which, you know, for the women, for the ladies, and possibly for any men. I don't mind. All you Joey Essexes and Mark Wrights out there, if you want to fancy me, that's okay. I don't mind. I'm you know, people can do whatever they like, and I'm free with all that. So this is for all you men and women out there. So I thought maybe, you know, if I have a shirt and I, you know, keep it open the whole time, you know, hey, you know, keeping it cool, might get a bit more viewers in. So that's the reasoning then. So yeah, you're welcome. Today we're going to be doing Shania Twain, That Don't Impress Me Much. And if people have watched the videos before, they knew I mentioned it just when I started doing these videos and said I was going to do it. I then tried to do it, I mentioned it again because I was going to try and do it about 2 weeks ago, and I was far too fucking drunk and failed miserably. Then I tried to do it again where I wrote it out all carefully, and that didn't really work. But I just don't want to leave it because it's such a good topic that I'm not going to quit until I do a piece on it. I mean, considering I've done 20 minutes on crisps, and just see where I know you see in the background, you're thinking, oh my god, is he going to do a big thing on crisps again, or chocolate, or cup of soups, or is he going to do it on noodles this time? You know, supermarket brands of noodles. Don't worry, but I am going to be doing it on. I've got to do it, I really have. So this is going to be a similar thing to the Dr. Dre thing, where I'm going to go through line by line. A little bit more opinion from my part, as opposed to, because with the Dr. Dre, Still Dre song, the difference is you can take the piss out of that song, but it's still, you know, Dr. Dre's an absolute legend, so it's slightly different. Whereas with Shania Twain, I've got no affirmative with her whatsoever, other than I think she's quite attractive, which if you watch his videos, that doesn't really mean a lot. You know, it does mean, you know, something to me, but, you know, in the realm of arts and wordplay, that doesn't really, you know, mean anything. So without further ado, let's get cracked on with Shania Twain, That Don't Impress Me Much. By the way, hopefully this is in a slightly better video format today, so we're trying to move forward with these things, and hopefully we've got a new theme tune, which is a song that I found off the internet, which sounds really fucked up to me, which was perfect. So I think it's in one of the songs that you'll listen to, you'll hate it, and then you'll start to like it and remember it in your head, and then after about 3 listens you'll absolutely detest it, and then I'll have to change it. So, Shania Twain, That Didn't Impress Me Much. Now the reason I wanted to talk about this song was because you've never had a song that talks about how much she's not impressed with anything. And it's just like, if you're a guy and she's Shania Twain, don't even bother trying to like pick her up in a bar, talk to her data, etc. Because it's just not going to work. Hang on a sec. I just turned the heating off. My missus would kill me if she came in. It was blaring. And I'm too hot anyway, so might as well. Right, so we get to the first line. Right, I'll try and do like a prose type thing. I've known a few guys who thought they were pretty smart. Fair enough, yep. But you've got being right down to an art. So she's met a guy, he's an obnoxious twat, basically. That's what the song's saying. You think you're a genius, you drive me up the wall. So again, still a complete obnoxious twat. He's obviously relatively intelligent, but got his brains more in his balls than his fancy watch. I mean, I haven't even got past that. I mean, this is what I'd get. So, if anything, I'm kind of sticking up for here, and this wasn't the point of what I'm supposed to be doing. And she said, ooh, you think you're special. Ooh, you think you're something else. So that paragraph, I can get on with that paragraph, because I just think, well, yeah, we've all met absolute swami dickheads in our time, and he sounds like an absolute twat. So from what you get from that was Shania Twain's a really nice girl, and if she meets a guy who's like, hey, I've got this really nice condo and I'm just been, 40 grand a year in my banking job or whatever, that doesn't impress him much. So I think, well, that's the first one, ding. If I can get one of them counters, I might even do it, because I've seen them do it. So, bing. That's, that doesn't impress him much. Right, okay. So then, powering on to the next one. Okay, so you're a rocket scientist. That don't impress me much. Ding. So a rocket scientist doesn't impress Shania Twain at all. So but to be honest, a rocket scientist would impress me a little bit. But I suppose she's saying that don't impress me much, which is like, yeah, which is fair. A rocket scientist doesn't impress me that much. If I was sitting at a bar and I was just chatting to some guy and he's like, hey, I've just come back off NASA, even as a guy, I'd probably be like, NASA? Really? What have you been doing? And then I'll ask him about it and he'd say, oh yeah, I've just been up to the Hubble space station and we've just been off to Jupiter and everything. And yeah, he'd be very interested, and in the purpose of the conversation in the bar, he would clearly be the most interesting guy in the world. But when it really came down to it, do I really give a shit if that guy's gone to space? No, not at all. So again, this is going the wrong way I wanted it to. So, but even so, okay, so you're rocket, but we're not talking about a guy in the world. We're talking about dating material from a woman's perspective. And I would have said a rocket scientist. And I don't even know what a rocket scientist is. I think she just pulled that out. We're talking about astrophysics. I think the reason that doesn't impress her much is because she's got a bit confused. What she wants is an astronaut who goes off to space. A rocket scientist, I would imagine, is one of the million people who sit on one of those 80s looking displays, just being sheep in the... which I'm sure is a very good job to have. Very interesting, but I wouldn't, you can still say if you're in a bar, like, oh, what do you do? Well, I work for NASA on the flight space program, which, I'm sure will get you some brownie points, etc. But it's not the same as going off into space. And I don't know, my knowledge of these type of things is very limited, and a lot of it is kind of limited to Armageddon and Deep Impact and all of the 80s and 90s space films. And it always just seemed to be a load of really sad, boring, fat, glassy wearing type people sitting at an 80s keyboard. So in that respect, I'm not surprised that doesn't impress them much. But still, a rocket scientist, if you can't get points for being a rocket scientist or working for NASA on a first date, then she's a bit of a cold bitch. So the next one, that didn't impress me much, obviously. So she says, so you've got the brain, but have you got the touch? Fair enough, that's an open question. Well, to be honest with you, if he's got the brain and he's working for NASA, he may well have the touch, but it's not exactly a given, is it really? don't get me wrong, I think you're alright. Well, that's the NASA talking. But that won't keep me warm in the middle of the night. But it will. It will keep me warm in the middle of the night, because she's talking as if she's like sells, you know, a lot of records, she's got money. But if she was just like someone who didn't really have a lot of money, didn't have a job, etc., then what keeps you warm in the middle of the night more than a man, more than a duvet, more than a good meal is central heating. And the only way you can consistently get central heating is if you pay your bills. And if this guy is working for NASA, then I'm pretty sure he can afford central heating. So that will keep her warm in the night. So, and I find if you are just hugging, no, I don't think, I mean, people can say what they like, but I don't think couples hug all night. I think this gets to a point where you just get far too hot and warm. Humans are far too hot for sleeping. It's like, oh, we'll lie in bed, oh, this is nice. And then after about 10 seconds, you're like, you just feel this heat rising up over you. And just, I need to get some leg action out the bottom of the duvet and my arm action out the duvet. And just place, what I like to do is, with the duvet, is just place a little bit over me. So I've still got like one leg out, one foot out, and then my head, and maybe just a little bit of chest. And an arm over the top, and then maybe an arm under, and try and distribute the kind of ridiculously hot and cold room together, and it can be quite relaxing. And possibly I've gone off kilt a little bit, so we'll jump back in here. She says, I never knew a guy who carried a mirror in his pocket. Okay, and a comb up his sleeve. And all that extra hold gel in your hair ought to lock it, because heaven forbid it should fall out of place. Now, we're just saying that that guy, he's basically a bit of one of them who has to keep looking in the mirror and doing his hair. Fair enough. I ought to be thinking Shania Twain's never met a guy who'd like to do his hair a lot. I think that's a bit unlikely. But then she says, oh, I think you're special. Okay, good. But she said, but you think you're something else. So obviously he's in love with himself more than her, and I think that's what the main issue is here. And this is where it really starts to get quite deep. She says, okay, so you're Brad Pitt. So she's talking to Brad. There's no other reason for her to say, okay, so you're Brad Pitt, other than she's talking to Brad Pitt. So at this point now, Shania Twain is talking to Brad Pitt. And I don't know what time frame she's talking to him in, whether it's recent. I mean, what year? I mean, when this year came out, I mean, what are we looking at? That don't impress me much. I mean, Brad Pitt had been in so many things at this point. I think he'd been in Interview with the Vampire, what else was he in? He'd kind of be in all the crisps. He was in all the crisps.
What are you talking about?
That don't impress me much.
Huh?
That don't impress me much.
Shania Twain. Okay. I'm going now. Alright?
Unbelievable. So, all the crisps, as I was saying. So this has been in Interview with the Vampire. I'm trying to think of something else Brad Pitt has been in, which I think is absolutely insane, because this is Brad Pitt. But he was clearly doing pretty well for himself. So at this point, he's quite... So if, you know, Brad Pitt doesn't impress her at all. And she's saying that to him, okay, so you're Brad Pitt. So he must have come up to her and said, oh, hello, Shania, I'm Brad. She says, I know you are. You know, would you like a drink? And she says, yes, please. So he gets her a drink, and then she says, okay, so you're Brad Pitt. That don't impress me much. And Brad probably got a bit offended and went off to I don't know, probably bumped into Angelina on the way home. So she then says, so you got the looks, but have you got the touch? And again, don't get me wrong, I think you're alright. Which is like a catchphrase at the moment. And then she says, I can't believe you kiss your car goodnight. Which Peter Kay viewers will know it as, I can't believe you kiss your cock at night. You look that up on YouTube. Or just listen to the song and you'll see what I mean. So I don't know at this point, is it Brad Pitt? I must admit I've jumped a little bit ahead here actually. You know, disclaimers, I'm not saying Brad Pitt kisses his cock at night or anything. He may well do. Maybe, I don't know. He's got a couple of kids, doesn't he? So I don't know. Angelina's probably can't really be bothered anymore, to be honest. She's had all that going on with her breast removed and everything, so she possibly doesn't want to get into that type of thing anymore. But jumping on that, and I don't think this is related to Brad Pitt, but one of my favourite lines in the song, she says, you're one of these guys who likes to shine his machine. So, hey, it's not the only machine I'll be shining. There's so many euphemisms from that. You know, he's like to shine his machine. It's like, oh, maybe you'd like to shine my machine. But I don't know if she meant it like that. And this is another line I wanted to make a big thing of. You make me take my shoes off before you let me get in. Is that a bad thing for a man? So basically, this is what's happened. She's met a man, she's gone back to his house, she's gone to walk into his living room or the hall or whatever with her shoes on. They've obviously, it's been raining outside, it's all a bit muddy. And she's just gone to walk in, and obviously the guy's gone, oh, can you take your shoes off, please, before you come into the living room? And she's gone, what the fuck? And I don't really get that. I mean, does that say more about this guy or more about Shania? I mean, I don't think the guy made a big deal of it. I reckon he probably just said, can you take your shoes off? Which I think is I mean, I don't take my shoes off when I come into my house, but if I was in another house and the person said, oh, do you mind taking your shoes off when I walk in? Yeah, that's fine, no problem, it's your house. That's okay. So yeah, it just seems a bit weird. And also, I would have thought, if we're talking from a dating point of view, if I was a girl, and bearing in mind like most guys are like complete slobs, if I was a girl and I went to walk into a guy's house on the first date and the guy said, oh, do you mind taking your shoes off? I'd be thinking, fucking hell, this guy's bloody clean, oh, I like that. So, but we don't know what happened. We don't know if like, he asked her, she said no, they had a huge blazing row, he went got around the throat, threw her to the ground, and Blooming said, no, fuck off, you know, never have your fucking heels in my bloody carpet again. So we don't know what happened. So, you know, I've always thought that if I've learnt anything from talking about breaking down two songs, if I've learnt anything from breaking down a whole two songs in my videos, it's that you don't write a lyric unless you really mean it. And this is what's happening here, and I think you just got to respect it. And I do admit I do dwell on certain things, but you know, you can't just skim over things. So he shines his machine. He has a go at her because she comes in his house with her shoes on, and he kisses his cock at night. And she says, you must be joking. So she's not impressed. So that's like, ding! Not impressed with chauvinistic asshole who shines his machine, wanks, has a go at her about her shoes, and kisses his cock before he goes to sleep. So ding! Not impressed, but we won't do a one on that, that doesn't count, it's a double. So then she says, okay, so you've got a car, that don't impress me much. Well, that's fair enough, everyone's got a car, you're not going to get with a guy for a car. Then she says, so you've got the moves, but have you got the touch? So this guy's got the moves, so that's good. But then she said, again, don't get me wrong, I think you're alright. So I mean, this is just, you can imagine this long stream of guys where they get into about second date and they're like, Shania, I really, really like you. And then she always says, no, it's not you, it's not me, don't get me wrong, you know, I think you're alright and everything. But she says, but that won't keep me warm at night. So I think at the moment, Brad Pitt isn't... Well, no, Brad Pitt's going to keep her warm at night because he's a fucking millionaire. So yeah, the rocket scientist, he's going to keep her warm at night because he's going to be earning a decent wage. This guy with a car, now this guy might not do, because he might be on the dole, unemployed, getting his gyro, getting his check. So yeah, but she seems to be very, why is she so bothered about being kept warm at night? I don't know. Is she is her eating broken her ass or something? So yeah, that just carries on like that really. And then this is a bit at the end. Okay, so what do you think? You're Elvis or something? That don't impress me much. So hang on, Elvis doesn't impress you? He's Elvis and he doesn't impress you, and like, she's a country and western singer. I know she's not exactly the same as Elvis, but she's not impressed by Elvis being Shania Twain. That doesn't, I find that a bit, unless she's got something, I don't know why that is. So then she says, you're Tarzan, Captain Kirk, John Wayne. So first of all, Tarzan. Tarzan, if you know or don't know, is an incredibly muscly, buffed up, long-haired Svengali, flowing brown locks as he swings through the jungle, having nothing but animal impulses and a love for women on his ropes, as he woos various women who comes into his jungle. Often portrayed as very, very attractive and muscly and clean-skinned and a bit of a dish. But that doesn't impress them much. Alright, fair enough. Captain Kirk. Now, Captain Kirk I can kind of understand because she's not really a big fan of rocket scientists. But even so, Captain Kirk is the captain of his own spaceship. He has his own spaceship with like 50 decks and 600, 800 people strong crew. He has his own spaceship. I'm not going to get into anymore and bore anyone who's not interested. I don't like Star Trek at all. I'm more of a, I'll leave it at that. I don't like Star Trek. But he owns his own spaceship. So I think that's like rocket scientist, but the next level up. And I would have to say, if you met if these things were about and you were a girl and you met a guy in the bar and you had one guy who's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm an office clerk, I file data records and blah 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 for, I don't know, Santander. Oh, what do you do? What's your name? Oh, my name's James, I'm captain of the Starship Enterprise. I think that's pretty impressive, even if you're not a geek. So, John Wayne, like one of the most like famous like 50s, you have to correct me on this, comment me please, whatever it was, 40s, 50s, cowboy type movie stars, whoever, again known to be ridiculously attractive, so that doesn't impress her either. And then she says, whatever. So I think sounds like she's got a bit of attitude, really. So, to sum up, and this is what really gets me about this song, you've got this guy, right, and this is the guy that he is. And this is the guy that she meets in a bar. He's a rocket scientist, so he works for like NASA, something like that. There's a section about him being really vain, so he keeps, he's this type of person that he does his hair back constantly, looks in the mirror, checks himself, so he really looks after his health, really looks after his appearance. So he's a rocket scientist with shitloads of money, he looks after his health, looks after his appearance. He's Brad Pitt, he's a movie star, he's, absolutely, famous movie star, again, quite buffed up, etc. So you've got the looks, so she's saying you've got the looks. And then not only then he says, like, he kisses his car at night and looks after his car. So he's clearly got a really nice car. And I thought girls loved cars, so that's got a really nice car. Blah blah blah, do me wrong, not really that cool, but I think you're right, do me wrong, blah blah blah. He makes her take her shoes off, he's got pride, he looks after his home, he's very clean, he's very cleanly. He's got the skill of Elvis. He can play 50s, 40s, 60s, blues, rock. He's a really good musician. He's John Wayne. He looks like a cowboy. He's really attractive, and he owns his own starship, and that doesn't impress Shania Twain much. Well, I think that's being a bit picky, really. I mean, I'm not really looking, and I'm not, especially for the old men. But if I was, and I was of the girl variety, or I was of the other variety, I think that sounds pretty fucking impressive. I would love a space, high-paid, car-loving, beauty-caring, musician, Tarzan, muscly, swinging cowboy, owner of a spaceship type guy. I mean, if I was a girl, if you can't plug that on Plenty of Fish, then I really don't know what you can do. So there we go. That is the song that don't impress me much, and as you can agree, it's pretty ridiculous, really. So this is where we get to the next bit. So what does impress Shania Twain? Now, to get there, we have to go to a guy who Shania Twain met in... I'll tell you now. 1993. They first met at Nashville's 1993, and his name was Robert Mutt Lange. And he's basically a record producer, and he basically did producing for AC/DC, Def Leppard, the Boomtown Rats, which is Bob Geldof, if obviously relevant at the moment. Foreigner, which is I think they did Africa or Take the Broken Wings, I can't remember which one. Bryan Adams, not Ryan Adams, for all you people who watch this show. Billy Ocean, the Cause. I'll stay. Not the best version. Maroon 5, I'm going off him. And Nickelback, no, I don't like. I always say this about different bands. It comes to something when you're more impressed with his Cause resume than you are with his Maroon 5 and Nickelback resume. And I also don't like the fact that Shania Twain's album in 1997 was called Come On Over. Now I'll have to check the facts, but Jesus Christ, is that not Christina Aguilera? I like Christina Aguilera far more than Shania Twain. I really want to know. In fact, let's have a look now. Let's just go for it. Let's just go wild. Come on over, Christina Aguilera. Now, if this is when we were looking, so Shania Twain made Come On Over 1997, Christina Aguilera. Her debut album was released in 2000. So it appears Christina Aguilera kind of fucked herself over there. So, sorry, Chris. So yeah, 1993, married 2008. So to be fair, like, this guy Robert Lange, they were together from 1993 to 2008, and then they split up. But now this is the very tricky thing: is that it is alleged that the guy had an affair with Shania Twain's best friend. Twain's manager confirmed that Twain was engaged to Frédéric Thibord, the Swiss ex-husband of her former best friend, and he's the chief executive of Nestle. And they married in 2011. And I was reading this earlier. It's actually quite strange that, funny enough, bear in mind he's Swiss. A couple of months before they split up, they were spending a lot of time in Switzerland. So I think you can see what happened there. So basically, you know, what does impress Shania Twain, and basically she's a bit of an enigma. I don't really think anything. She clearly likes musical producers, and this guy is clearly a huge, but you know, she wasn't impressed by Elvis. Well, no, she wasn't impressed by Elvis. Well, maybe she just doesn't like Elvis. Maybe she likes all music producers, but she doesn't like Elvis. Which I'm not the biggest fan as well. You know, not on a serious level. I don't think I'd be attracted to him as a woman. But she clearly likes that. I mean, but what I do find funny is there's a bit on endorsements here. She endorsed Revlon, Candy's shoes, Febreze. I think Febreze was scraping the barrel a bit there. So it's quite an interesting thing to see how much does impress her for a certain amount of money. But we'll leave it there. I don't want to ramble too much, but I think we've clearly established that not a lot impresses Shania Twain, and she's like a typical woman, is all over the fucking place. So might be a bit controversial, but there you go. Ta-ta.